Hey UK Bills Mafia, this is Christian Wade of your Buffalo Bills. This is the Red, White, and Buffalo Blues, a UK Bills podcast with your hosts, Matt and Alex. Let's go, Buffalo! Woo!
And GM number 3 for the day, we have, and sorry if I pronounce your surname wrong, it's Sean Krogan. Is that right?
Hey, spot on.
Attaboy.
Bonus points.
You can't
not
pronounce
full-
Star Latule's name, but you got this one, so you're good. All right.
No one can pronounce his name.
So thank you very much, Sean, for coming on the show. One thing I would like to know is, how did you become a Bills fan?
Yeah, I've been lifelong Bills fan. Despite being in the UK for the past 7 years, I'm from Utica, New York originally, and that's kind of ends up being the dividing line of New York State, as Alex probably well knows. So you start to bleed into Giants and Patriots country right around that area. But I grew up a Bills fan and have been through the glory days and the doldrums in between, and now the good times that we're in the middle of now.
That's
Very
good to know.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
good
glad
to hear.
that I'm finally on a show where I can, not be surrounded by Brits who use terminology that I can't understand. So this is good.
Yeah, I find I've been here long enough now that I forget which word is used in which country, and it just confuses me and all my friends. So.
Yeah.
That means I can't. That means I can try and confuse 2 people, maybe.
Okay.
It's the
So-
Cockney rhyming slang I'm still not good with, so you could definitely get me with that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, well, Christian Wade really got me with some phrases when we had him on. That was embarrassingly fun. So that's good.
Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
was great
definitely.
fun. It was great fun. I mean, I've had so many more that I was going to give him. I mean, you want a Britney Spears?
That's just a person. What?
Britney Spears, beers.
Oh, you're the worst. So let's
Yep.
talk draft.
Let's have a butcher's hook at Sean's draft.
Can I mute you? I don't care that you're a host.
I was
Honestly.
gonna say,
I'm running this Zoom meeting.
we outnumber the Brits now. Can we
Yeah.
kick them off or something? I know it's your guys' podcast, but come on.
Right, that's a bad grade now. So we've got you using the you've used the Pro Football Focus one draft for it for your draft.
I'm not at all in any way a draft expert. I watched very little, if any, college ball. So I just kind of jumped in and started running through some drafts and seeing where I ended up. And yeah, I think like I said, one of the messages, I had to look around after I sent you guys my draft and went, some of these rankings are maybe different than some of the others. Let's have them. So
Even the
That's how I ended up
professionals are
together.
guessing. So all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
This why I like this one and the other one we've had. They're on different
Mhm.
different draft platforms, so you're going to have people with different rankings.
And
in
these
there.
are all different players too, so that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we'll
real
start.
quick, I know with Pro Football Reference, what were your settings at? Like, where was your randomness? Do you remember?
I left it all default. It was all right in the middle for everything.
Okay.
I didn't tweak
Okay,
anything.
gotcha.
Cool. So let's start. You haven't made any trades either, which is good. On there. First pick from Penn State, defensive end Jason Owa. Now,
Yeah, I like the idea of going edge if we can. I don't know if you guys already had the whole halfback debate and all of that good stuff at some
We
point.
have not, luckily, so that's
No.
okay.
Okay, good. That's good. I think this guy's potentially a bit of a project, and
Mhm.
I'd prefer someone that maybe could jump straight in and start straight away. But I started watching some of the film on him. Some impressive stats, especially in 2019. Last year was a little bit quieter. But as I gather, his pro day stats are starting to kind of blew everyone away, and just the athleticism of
Yeah.
this guy kind of brought him to my attention. So a little bit of a gamble, I think, but I'm up for that. So that's why I went his way on the first pick there.
It's interesting
mean,
to
it's-
see a
it's-
guy like this drafted so high where he had no sacks last year, but everything else is off the board on him. So definitely a project guy. You're not going to give him very many snaps this year. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what I mean, unless assuming there's a normal preseason and everything, unless something blows up in the preseason that I don't necessarily know that you'd slot him straight in. I think, yeah, no sacks last year. I think he had like 6.5 tackles for a loss or something at least, but it's still a little concerning, not downward trend, but I just like the look of him on film. So I thought I would slot him in at number 30.
I think for me with him, he's one of those players that is he enough to put his hand in the ground? Is he enough to stand up and rush as a linebacker? I kind of potentially pegging him as a Lorenzo Alexander type player for the Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the freakishly athletic first step and the technique to win inside, and enough to drop into coverage. So you've got him like we had with the previous draftee we've had when he took Quickie Pay. We have edge and linebacker. We have Edison and Hughes that you can sit behind. You can sit behind and learn for and be that rotational player. So he's one with a bit of a question mark, a bit of roulette, which position you're going to play him in. But
Yeah.
I can see him being a late first, early second pick for the right scheme. So I'm hoping that if the Bills did wind up with his card, that they could try and get him into a Lorenzo Alexander type player for the
he definitely looks more like a linebacker build to me, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see kind of where he grows if they were to pick him up.
So let me get your philosophy on like your overall draft, because we're trying to contend for a Super Bowl, which is amazing to be able to say.
Yeah.
But late round pick, so maybe the splashy guys aren't available anymore, but you're going with a guy who isn't going to see the field this year, and we do have positions of concern, maybe at corner. Did you not see anybody at 30 that could play right now?
In this draft that I went with, no.
Okay.
In others, yes. And I wish I had it sitting in front of me, but I definitely went corner first in a couple of the other mocks that I went through. And that would honestly probably, I flip back and forth. It kind of depends on who's available, but those, as I have in this draft, those are my top two needs that I see at least. So
yeah.
I get you. Yeah.
I mean, your second round pick. Now, as I say, this is why I like people using different machines. I mean, Tay Gowan of cornerback UCF. I've seen him in rounds 4 to 6.
Yeah, that's what I saw after I sent this in. That's the main one that I looked at and went, oof. I mean, yeah, I might take a beating on this one.
I know. I like him. I think round 4 to 6. If obviously if we go with where he potentially would go, he's got that the ball skills and the aggressiveness to actually to at least make an impact on there. There is times where he needs to refine his technique into his back pedals and at the line of scrimmage, because it will allow receivers to gain that separation. But I could see him being a Bills target. I don't know what PFF have on him really to push him up into a second round, that sort of situation. But it's a guy really I could see, and obviously a cornerback is a need that the Bills would be looking for on there.
Yeah, I mean, in looking at this, it's definitely possible. Like I said, I was kind of had my eyes set on corner and edge for the first two, and this is kind of best of what was available. Reading a bit more about him, I mean, he doesn't have a huge amount of college experience, but did have an impressive year. I think they're saying 20 catches on 50 targets. Pretty decent. This is probably my least favorite pick of my whole draft. I think you could go deeper, and I'd fight more for some of the deeper picks than I would for Tay Gowan.
I mean, there's upside here. As I said to our last GM for a day, players who opted out in 2020 come with big question marks, but this guy has, displayed talent in 2019 with 10 pass defenses. He doesn't lack for physicality. So someone who could maybe be that slot corner guy. decent size, I would say average size, but not small. The probably biggest worry is the type of competition he had, in UCF, but definitely not a guy who I would be like, worried about, but maybe in this spot, yeah. I mean, Levi Wallace, as we know, undrafted. This guy probably might even go undrafted in certain scenarios. My draft guide has that, but I definitely see an argument for him. It's just maybe your randomizer was maybe a little bit too high on this one.
Yeah, fair enough. I think, looking at what else in other scenarios, might be available, or in reality, what might be available, I think, you wouldn't likely see this be what the Bills go for at 61.
I
But
mean, if there's a trade down here where we're getting him in the fifth, then I like it.
yeah, that's fair. I think. I mean, looking after I went through looking at film on some of these different guys, you look at him and he's got a lot of size. I think he needs to put on some bulk too, though, which sounds odd to say for a corner, but he's kind of a beanpole running around out there. So I'm not sure that especially if he's doing any sort of press coverage, that he might need to put on some bulk to make it in the league as well.
The next pick's not bad though. I mean, we have the ninth graded defensive lineman coming up here. So tell me a little bit about this guy.
Yeah, you gotta love a guy.
Hey, hang on. Matt, give me a pronunciation here.
Odighizuwa.
Well, I just said it. That's not fair.
Okay, yeah.
No, I mean this guy. He was a high school wrestler. He's someone that McDermott should be on McDermott's radar. He's a high school wrestler. Went 46-0 in high school.
All right.
This guy.
Wow, that's some deep knowledge there. Yeah, I didn't get that far in my research, that's for sure. This guy, I mean, he's got more experience in college than my other previous picks, that's for sure. Previous 3-year starter. Seems everything I've seen read pretty explosive off the snap. I think weak side, he's a little small. Needs to bulk up. I think he did in his last 2 years add some weight on in college, but I think to be competitive, he's got to just keep heading in that direction. But I aside from the name alone, like what I've seen of him so far.
Yeah, I think
one of the best notes that I've read about him, and a fair few people have said this, is he's not scheme dependent, and I think that's a really important trait for players to have. Is that any team, any scheme, 4-3-3-4, big nickel like us, he's gonna do work, and that's what I like about this pick.
Yeah, I mean he's a guy. He's about 290 odd, 282, 290. You can play him pretty much. You can probably give him a one technique a little bit on there, but he's definitely a three technique guy with his with the power and the explosiveness he's actually he's got, and the way he can actually take on blockers. I think with him, and the third round is probably the best round for him, in my opinion. Is just the pass. He just needs to just get a bit more efficient on pass rush, and at 91, you're getting a really good defensive tackle, and someone that could replace Harry Phillips himself in that third technique, and maybe even play a bit of one technique if needed on there.
Yeah, I think what he lacks in some of the forcefulness or size makes up for is the work he can do with his arms too. We're just watching some of the videos. He's good at just slipping aside and making moves that some of the bulkier guys might not be able to do. So I kind of like that with him too.
Yeah. So your next pick in round 5, tight end Tommy Tremble of Notre Dame.
Nobody's picked tight end yet. I like this.
Yeah.
Nobody picked tight end yet, really? We think we're all good there, huh? I mean, me in my Dawson Knox jersey still is drafting a tight end here.
No, I mean this one is actually good because he's more of your Lee Smith type guy. He's not really had much passing game experience at Notre Dame on there. He's a thumper. He's a downhill run blocker.
Oh yeah, way more run blocking but I mean, hey, we need help in that area too. So that's why I was kind of liking to look at him an all-rounder tight end. Yeah, not a huge amount of receiving experience, but neither did Knox before he joined. Not that that's an advertisement for looking for to build that skill set, but
I mean, we're looking. He's the 4th ranked tight end on my list here, so projected to go in the 2nd and 3rd round. So you're getting him in the 4th. So there's good value
Fifth.
here. 5th, yes.
Fifth round.
Yep. Sorry.
yeah, no fourth.
Yeah.
But no, I think tight end. I think a Tommy Tremble type guy would be good because if you're getting a younger Lee Smith, in my opinion, with him, you can actually get him as a blocker, and then maybe on certain play action plays, just get him out when no one's actually done, and he's got that untapped potential to actually be a reliable target in the passing game, especially on short yardage and even red zone.
Yeah,
I
completely
definitely
agree.
think we do draft a tight end in this draft. I'm surprised nobody else has, just because of the lack of depth at that position and with the need for a run blocking tight end. Sorry, I cut you off there, Sean. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just agreeing with Matt. I think it's spot on, and same with what you said. I'm surprised that more people have gone with tight end. I think it's definitely a need where we need depth, and I would love obviously to see Knox step up and be the guy this year. But I think you still need more depth behind him as well. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So staying in round 5, you've gone offense again with Dax Milne, a wide receiver of BYU, a guy the Bills have actually met with him. This guy won't blow you away with speed. This guy is more, I'm just trying to think of the best comparison that the Bills may have had to him, more of a possession-based receiver, able to go up and actually get the ball at the highest point and contest the catch.
Well, this is what we've seen a lot of in our drafts today. Replacements for Cole Beasley. Is this your thing, Sean?
Yep, 100%. I mean, he's relatively tall for a slot receiver. From seeing interviews with him, he seems comfortable playing in the slot, though he's played a bit all over the shop from what I saw. But yeah, that's it. My thinking, just someone younger that can maybe learn from Beasley and maybe build off of that.
Yeah, I mean, a slot receiver doesn't need to be small like Beasley. We've seen guys like Fitzgerald do it well. His comparable is like a Hunter Renfrow guy. So I mean, he had 1,000 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. So at this spot, it's projects. It's guys who might not see the field for 2 or 3 years, but definitely, I think here is the best spot to take a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yep. My thinking as well.
And for 6th round, we again stay on the offense. So it's a nice little split here with these picks, and tackle Cole Van Lanen from Wisconsin.
Yeah, he just seems like a big, beefy Midwestern boy. I think that's. I don't have a whole lot to say on him, but besides that, I think once you get this deep, you're looking at projects or maybe depth or practice squad or something like that. But looking at what was available, just thought just kind of like the look of him, so picked him up. But yeah, nothing to necessarily sell him. He's big young guy.
I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you're looking at a guy who was first team All Big Ten. He's smart and physical. It's just his problem is average size. But I mean, at this spot, if you have a backup tackle, then that's a successful draft pick.
Yeah, and there was some talk too that he might be able to shift to guard, so at least it gives some flexibility depending on what happens further down the road.
Sure.
So I guess reading more about him, it sounded like there's some speculation that you really probably couldn't stand up to be a tackle in the NFL and might have to make that shift. But I think it's all a coin toss at this stage, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
And then the last pick in round 7, Jonathan Marshall, defensive tackle from the Arkansas, Nebraska.
Arkansas.
That's the one.
Yep.
I always get those two confused, both Midwest on there. But I think I like this one. I think his age is a little bit against him. He's going to be one of the older prospects, like we've had on the previous draft at 24. Come the season. But he's got speed, body control, and athleticism to beat the blockers, but can be easily moved from his spot. But then again, as we all know, and we've said it so many times through not just this one, other drafts, that is going to be it's going to be your developmental sides that you try and get them onto the practice squad if you can, and actually keep them up and running.
Yeah, I think he's another one that, I mean, he could very easily, obviously, at this depth, go undrafted. I think he maybe jumped up a bit after his pro day stats as well. I think he performed decently there. Reading just, yeah, he kind of came on a bit, I think, late in the year last year, and seems like maybe has some versatility about what he can do as well. So yeah, again, just a depth player, and see what we get out of it in the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, a 1-year starter, but I think that where he projects is someone who could inevitably back up Ed Oliver if everything works out for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what? Now I've got to give you want to put me on the spot again, don't you, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, you need to give everyone a draft grade, and I will not and enjoy it. So you're the draft expert. I mean, Matt's the draft expert. He's the draft.
I am not the draft expert, so
Yeah.
I will take whatever you give me, Matt. Don't worry.
I mean, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So
yeah, after the last few shows that you missed.
I was thinking of putting, I don't know if you guys saw on Reddit, the Marshawn Lynch mural picture that was someone threw on there. I was going to put it up as my background. It's horrific. It's amazing.
Oh, I have not seen it. I will look.
We'll have a look into that one. I think there's potential in this one. I think Osa and Tremble are probably definitely ones that could make an impact in there. I think it's the Gowan one that's taking it down a little bit on there.
That's fair.
But that's PFF grading on there. If obviously Gowan was lower on there, I would say it's a solid B-. With Gowan in there in round 2. I'll still give you a C for that one.
That's all. That's passing grade. I'll take it.
That's passing. Yes. Yeah.
That was me in high school, so we're all good.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Sean, thank you very, very much for coming on the show, being a GM for the DFA and defending your draft.
No, thanks for having me. It's happy to join in. It's good fun.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cheers, buddy.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills.